الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Continuing our lessons on نواقض الإسلام, the Nullifiers of Islam by Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul rahimahullah. This week we move to number 7, الناقض السابع, the seventh nullifier, with the Shaykh rahimahullah says, السابع السحر ومنه الصرف والعطف ومن فعله أو رضي به كفر والدليل قوله تعالى وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر. He says number 7, or the seventh nullifier, is magic. And from it is sarf al-ataf, as we'll see later. These are two forms of magic. And so whoever performs it or is pleased with it, then they have disbelieved. And the evidence is the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Baqarah that Harut and Marut, two angels, they told the people, then we only teach you وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ, no one teaches you this magic حَتَّى يَقُولَا, except that they taught no one of this magic except that they told them that do not fall into this trial by which then you will disbelieve. Here the Shaykh is talking about something we covered before in the Qawa'id of Tawheed, the principles of Tawheed, and also Kitab al-Tawheed and other places, the issue of as-sihr, magic. And the author, rahimahullah, when he says as-sihr, he's talking about here a specific type of definition of what magic is. Because when we use the term, it has more than one meaning. So some people, they expand the meaning, and others, they restrict it. But the ulama, they define sihr in both ways, linguistically and technically. And we'll see the benefit behind having that definition. So there's a haqiqah, a reality, or a definition which is legislative, and one which is technical. From the Arabic side, السحر في اللغة ما لطف وخفي سببه, whatever is subtle وخفي سببه, and its means or its methods are hidden. ما لطف وخفي سببه, that which is subtle and its means are hidden to people. And this is mentioned in Lisan Arab. And this is why when you use the word sihr, it's the meaning behind it, something where the means in which it's being performed, it's not known to people how it works. So from this linguistical definition, you could see that many forms of magic or many usage of the word falls in there. That which is subtle and its means are hidden. But the technical definition, في اصطلاح, يعني the ulama, when they use it, they say it refers to two things. Number one, عقد ورقى, tying knots and incantations. عقد is when you're tying knots and blowing on to them. ورقى, incantations, when people read spells. So what is meant by this is when people are reading certain spells or incantations and wordings onto knots. And this is what the sahir, the magician, will use alongside استخدام الشياطين, the use of the shayateen فيما يريد به من ضر المسحور, in order to harm the one who's the victim. It's not simply blowing on knots, not simply. It's reading incantation and blowing on knots by which the person will use it to harm the mashoor. But how is it going to harm them? By using the magician, the shayateen, the devils. And we're going to see this is the key. The second usage for the term, أدوية, medications, وعقاقير, or intoxicants or toxics or tonics, تؤثر في بدن مسحور بعقله وإرادته. So it can also refer to medications or a type of concoctions the magician will put together in order to harm the body, the mind, and the will of the victim. So this is what sarf al-ataf is referring to. Sarf al-ataf is a type of magic in which medications and concoctions and tonics are made by the magician in order to harm the body, the mind, and the intent to the will of the victim, the mashoor. Both of these, they fall into technical definition. But the ulama, they say when we talk about magic, we have to understand what is really intended here. What is intended here is not the linguistic meaning, but the shari'i, the legislative meaning. Because from the linguistic meaning, you could put many things into magic. Anything that's subtle and hidden. Hence, when some people, when they don't understand something, they say it's magic. Means, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did that. It seems magical. But that's not what the sharia has come to lead to the kufr. We're talking about disbelief here. So as we studied before, the reason why a sihr isn't mentioned in Nواقض الإسلام by Shaykh al-Islam is because sihr, magic, leads to disbelief. And disbelief then will take you out of Islam. So we go back to what we said before, all the 10 nullifiers go back to 3 major causes. Kufr akbar, major disbelief. Wa shirk akbar, major polytheism. Wa nifaq akbar, major hypocrisy. So in this situation, kufr akbar. That doesn't mean that everyone who does a type of magic has done kufr. No. Because some of the things we just mentioned here, while prohibited, they don't necessarily imply that it is the magic that leads to disbelief. The ulama, when talking about magic and the sahir being a kafir, the reason why it's even mentioned here is because the magician cannot do real magic except by disbelief. And some of the ulama didn't put it in the nawaqid, because by itself it doesn't lead to disbelief. Because if someone did what would be called magic, it doesn't mean that they always did that one that leads to disbelief. An example, somebody does a card trick. This we call sleight of hand. Khifatul yad, yani he does some card trick. He learned on YouTube or someone taught him. Is this person a sahir in the definition of the sharia? No. Because what is it, the one who's a sahir, the real one who does kufr and therefore deserves to be receiving the death penalty in the Muslim courts, and the one who will do the magic and is using what? Istiqama shayateen. It's very important. This is what's going to get to them. So the ulama, they mention this point to highlight that there's things which are haram and things which are kufr. Doesn't mean magic's halal. It's haram in any form of it. But the one that we're talking about here, you can talk about as dark magic, black magic, the dark arts, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes you find people differentiating between those, the card tricks and the things you can learn, and the ones which you can only learn by way of kufr. Because the shayateen will not give you assistance and help you, except if you do what they want. And this is why we have to pay attention to that dabit, that point there. Because if you don't, then you're going to think that all of them is the same category. It's not. That doesn't mean it's not haram. We're just saying that we need to pay attention to what Shaykh al-Islam is putting in the book, and what some ulama didn't see it by itself to be kufr. And this was the view of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, that by itself, you can't say the person who did any magical trick as a kafir. We have to investigate whether he do kufr or not. So to help us understand this, if we take a look at the ones that people can learn through experience or for online or from somebody, and it's something which is like a trick. It tricks you, like a card trick, pulling your finger, someone pulling something out of their pocket. These are all types of deception. So technically they fall into the definition of sihr by way of something which is hidden, the cause of it. Ma khafiya sababu, right? You don't know how he did that. But it won't fall into the kufr part of it because he didn't use the shayateen to do that. He didn't use shayateen, he just did some card trick. You could probably learn it too, although it's haram to be learning that. Because the makr wa khida' fi an-nar, al-hadith, right? Deception and plotting is in the hellfire. So no one should be doing that anyways, because if some people say just fun, I mean, what kind of fun is it to make fun of, to trick people? So that's haram. But the one we're talking about, the real sahir, is not doing no card trick. Shayateen are helping him. So he's doing serious things. And this is today in our culture. We need to go back to this principle. In our culture, the atheist secular society we live in, people don't believe in magic, but they do. They pretend they don't, but they do. Because our society, we're fascinated by it, whether it be Harry Potter or other than that, which includes even magic. I mean, the study is done. Right? Whatever her name was, J.K. Rowling, she did study ancient Indian magic in order to write her kitab, her book, Harry Potter. And people, they don't know this because they think in the Western world, just a show, it's just a novel. No, it's real. And to show us this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the magicians, the past, the present. Ulama mentioned in the past, until today, since the time of Nuh alayhi salam, all the way till today, people always knew about magicians. Because Shaykh al-Islam mentions that Nuh, These people called him a sahir, right? Magician, right? So magic's known. Every nation, community knows it. وَلَا يَفْلِحُ السَّاحِرُ حَيْثُ أَتَى. The sahir never is successful no matter what level he gets to. So we need to pay attention to the reality of it. And to first establish that, we have to know that there is such thing as magic. And that leads to the first mas'ala. Is sihr, magic, have a haqiqa, a reality? Or is it simply an illusion? تخيلي. We mentioned this before. حقيقة or تخيل. يعني is it a reality or is it just an imagination? And the correct opinion, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe magic is real. It has a reality. What that means, it has the capacity to harm others, not simply deceive your eyes. So Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe magic is real. It can harm your body, your mind, or your intellect, or your nafs, يعني, your body, your mind, your thought process. And there are also magic which is the deception of the eyes. You'll see something that's not necessarily there. Your eyes are being deceived. So both of these are real, they exist. The Mu'tazila, they held the view that sihr is purely the illusion of the eyes. It's not real. It means a magician cannot harm your body, your mind, your intellect. He can only bewitch your eyes. So for example, if someone just saw a fire in front of them and it's not really there, everyone else cannot see it, a person who's mashoor may see it because his eyes have been bewitched. So he's deceived. That's a type of magic. But the Mu'tazila restricted magic to that type only, and this is wrong. They tried to use the ayat in the Quran, فَإِذَا حِبَالُهُمْ وَعَسِيُّهُمْ يُخَيِّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. That the Musa alayhi salam's people, they did the magic, their ropes and their sticks, when they threw it down, يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ. It looked towards him, it appeared to Musa, because of the sihr, أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى, as if it's moving like a snake. So we say that is a type of magic, but not the only type. Why? Because we know in the past and the present, the life of Rasulullah included, he was hit with magic, and what happened to Rasulullah? He thought he did something which he didn't. So that means it has an athar, an effect, which is haqiqi, it's real. So the evidence that the Mu'tazila used is just one. They didn't use all the evidence available, so they restricted what is not restricted. So the summary of the topic, magic is real, له حقيقة والتأثير. It has a reality and it has an impact. It can harm and sicken somebody, it can kill somebody, it can make someone feel like they're seeing something that's not there. All of this is a type of magic. We don't just say it's only bewitching of the eyes. So you have to be careful with that, because if some of the people, when they think about it, they think, oh, magic is only that which you're imagining. No, it has all these types. Hence the magician, why he's so dangerous and why the penalty towards them is so severe, because they harm the society and the people. We also know it has an impact because we make dua to Allah to protect us from them in Surah Falaq. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. We seek refuge every day from the naffathat, the whispers or the blowing of the people or magicians, fil uqad, on the knots. So the ulama say isti'adha, seeking refuge from a sihr. What does it mean then? It has reality. Why every day Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do that in the morning, evening adhkar? Except that it's real. Right? You don't imagine it's not real. So the Mu'tazila were wrong for restricting it. Rather we say magic of it is that which deceives your eyes, that which can harm your body, your mind, your intellect, and that which can even kill somebody or sicken them. And that's why sometimes in our society, if someone has a type of random illness or suddenly becomes sick for no reason, no one can find out why, these can be indications of sihr. But it's left to the experts to determine that. So if we understand sihr has a haqiqah, we don't need to deny that. In fact, denying the reality of sihr, of all of its types, is kufr. So the Mu'tazila, they restricted it. But if someone says there's no such thing as magic, this is kufr. Because the Quran and Sunnah, they mention it. In our culture and society, like I said, brothers and sisters, most of the non-Muslims, they don't believe in it because they think it's fun and games, because مَا خَفِيَ سَبَبُهُ, its means are hidden, so we are scientific people. It doesn't make sense. Somebody does something and it kills somebody. So what they've done is, if it can be explained scientifically, it doesn't exist in reality. But we tell them, why do you watch Harry Potter and all this stuff? Because it's interesting. No, because you believe in it. The atheists, brothers and sisters, they believe in horoscopes. They're playing around their doubts. They say Allah doesn't exist and horoscopes have impact and magic is real. Angels don't exist, mashallah, right? These people are confused. So you have to understand where we're going with this. But what's scary is, many young people grow up, especially the kids, thinking it's games. It's not games. And to show you this, look at the ulama write in their books. I mentioned it before, but the ulama, they mentioned in their books about witches. Right? Is a witch a real thing? Yes. قال ابن قدام في المقنع والساحر الذي يركب مكنسة فتسير به في الهواء ونحوه يكفر ويقتل. As for the sahir who flies with a broom in the air, look at me right, Ibn Qudam writes, as for the sahir who flies with a broom in the air, this person has committed kufr and deserves to be killed. Who's the one who flies in the air, brothers? It's a witch. It's a witch, right? It's real. The ulama and the fuqaha, they write in the books. Right? That's one. You can find Ibn Muflih, wa Mar' al-Karami, wa Ibn Uthaymin, wa Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, Risala fi Jinn. He has a whole qissa. The man who used to fly around the sky at this time period, come through the windows. Right? This is real. And here we are watching movies like, mashallah, it's fake. No. We have to wake up, brothers. Here we don't know. Most of the people you see who are like this, they are magicians, some people. We don't know. But back home we can see them clear. But we have to look at this wording. Today we're telling our children what? Oh, it's Halloween. We have to spend time on these things. Because we want to make sure that we don't tell our kids things which are not true. This is real. The ulama wrote about it and it's real. Because what's a witch? It's a witch, a sorceress, a female magician. طيب. So you understand the haqiqah then, it's real. Then what is the hukum? It's kufr. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that when the angels came to teach the people, they were telling them, don't believe, don't do this, or don't engage in this, so that you may fall into kufr. Hence indicating it's kufr. But like I said a minute ago, how is it kufr when there are types? So the one that involves the shayateen, the one that involves this, so you can call it black magic, or whatever you want to call it, that one, that's the dabit. The one that is kufr is the one that involves something of kufr. Any magic in which the wasila, the means to its attainment, is kufr, then the one who did it became a kafir. That's how you nullify this Islam. But any magic in which there's no kufr involved in its learning, then it's haram but not kufr. So an example would be, I learned a card trick to deceive you, haram. Because deceiving people is haram, but I'm not a kafir. Right? Although this will lead probably to people to learning more. So it's definitely haram from that angle too. But the one who's a real magician, he didn't get the shayateen to help him except that he became kafir. So some of the ulama say, if you want to know why the sahir is a kafir, there are 3 reasons, at least. Right? Number 1, he has drawn near to shayateen. He has drawn near to shayateen and they're helping him because he gave them his iman in exchange for their help. That's the first one. There's no way the shayateen are going to help you. When we say shayateen, the bad devils, right? Except that you became kafir. قال الله تعالى في سورة الأعراف إنا جعلنا الشياطين أولياء للذين لا يؤمنون. We only made the shayateen the awliya of the people who don't believe. You want them to help you? You got to do kufr. That's number 1. Number 2, usually the person who becomes a magician, he does kufr in order to get to them. So he takes the mushaf, he puts it in the garbage. He'll write it in menstrual blood. This is real, guys. This stuff they do. They're doing the worst of things. Make sujood to them. They do kufr towards them. So that's the second one. They're grading the signs of Allah in order to gain their trust. That's another method. Or thirdly, what they will do is they will do anything that would necessitate kufr to get to them. So if it involves kufr, then it becomes, the real sahir then becomes a kafir. So that's why the ulama said the one who is doing this is the one, this is a kafir. This is the one who the chapter about Nواقض Islam is applying to. As for the means, other kinds of sihr which involves haram things or not haram things, but can lead to that eventually, then it becomes haram. For example, learning how to do card tricks to deceive people is haram, because deception is haram, and also it might lead you to want to learn about the real magic. Hence why the scholars say learning about kufr or magic is kufr. Again, some scholars differ on it, but the safer views say it's kufr, because they told them, the malaika said, فَلَا تَكْفُرْ, don't disbelieve, don't learn this. So do we understand why then it's in the nullifiers now? Because some ulama don't put in nullifiers, because by itself it's not. It depends on what you did. Now you can understand then if there's different types of magic, the one that involves kufr is the one becomes a kafir, and there's no way someone becomes a sahir except he does kufr. Because there's no way they're going to help you and assist you. And that's why they're the worst of people. We also need to pay attention to, when the ulama talk about this, since the definition of sihr is wide, sometimes we use the term linguistically. For example, in Kitab al-Tawheed, Shaykh al-Islam mentioned namima, gossiping and backbiting or tail carrying as a sihr. Is it sihr? You say from the technical definition, no. From linguistical meaning, yes. Why? What does a sahir do? Well, what can he do? He hides and deceives, but he can split people up, right? And what does the gossip or tail carrier do? The same thing, but he does it his own way. So they say that the person who tells stories and rumors, he's not a sahir like a real sahir. He does sihr because the outcome is like that, right? Well, he's similar to the outcome. Because what does Allah say that the magician, one of the things they do, يفرقون بينه, right? They separate between يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه, between a person and his wife. So that's what the sahir can do, and the tail carrier, he can do the same. So that shows you when the ulama say this person is a sahir, the real consideration, if someone was called a sahir, that's what has to go to the qadi. Because the qadi will investigate, did he kafir or is he did something else. Either way it's haram, but it's going to be different between one is a non-Muslim and one is, and the conversation will then go, is his tawbah accepted or not? Does he get the punishment or not? So all those ahkam go back to this topic. So to understand this, if someone did something haram like magic, that person's accusation will be taken to the Muslim judge, and the case will be then established. What did he do? If the person did kufr, then the ahkam and the kufr will be applied to them, which then will mean the person deserves a punishment, right? Which is usually corporal punishment. And also attached to will be the fact that whether his tawbah will be accepted or not, the ulama debated. What's more correct, his tawbah is accepted, inshallah, if he repents properly. But obviously, if he got that far in the cases, it will be different. But if let's say he repented before that, it can be accepted. Allah forgives everything, as long as someone's alive and able to seek forgiveness. But the question would be, if someone went now, was accused of magic, and what they were doing was card tricks and things like this, they may be taken to court and they get ta'zir, they got a punishment. Or maybe they somebody will give them a warning. You shouldn't be learning these things. The reason why you need to pay attention to different levels is that it's not always kufr. Hence Shaykh al-Islam, when he's talking about it, he's talking about that one. طيب, the ulama go to the next mabhath, the next mas'ala. Is it possible for a sahir, a magician, to change the reality of things? Means we said the sihr of the eyes, right? So this person, when he does illusionment or kind of like magic of the spells that cover your eyes, where you see things are not there. This type of magic is it's called sihr takhyiri. This person, when he does this type of sihr, he's not changing the haqiqah of the creation of Allah. So the correct opinion is, it's not possible for the sahir ala qalb al-a'yani wal-haqa'iq. He cannot change the reality of Allah's creation. No one can do it illa Allah. So if someone saw, for example, when Muslim people were doing, when they threw the ropes and it looked like snakes, did it really turn to snakes? No. But it looked like it. Why? Because they did sihr, but they cannot change a rope into a snake. Only Allah can do that. Tawheed will be, right? So the reason you have to know that is because some people think that sahir can do that. He can't. If he could, he wouldn't be so poor. I need the ulama, he would have more money and power, but he doesn't. Showing that he cannot do that. Only Allah can do that. So you have to be careful. But we know that he has the potential to trick people though, and perceive that. Then the ulama, we go to the third issue, the hukm al-sahir. We already mentioned the ulama divided this discussion into two. Hence they have two opinions. The first opinion, the sahir, the magician, is a kafir. And this is the majority ulama who hold this view. So Ahmed, Malik and Abu Hanifa. Because they say that the sahir is a kafir based on what Allah said. وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا. That Sulaymaan didn't disbelieve, but the shayateen, they disbelieved. Surah Baqarah, ayah 102. So they say this proves that anyone who does magic is a kafir. And the second opinion was the opinion of Imam Shafi'i, who divided it into two issues. He said issue one, a group of magicians who are kafir, and he brings proof of that they do kufr, like the first category. And group number two, those who do magic without kufr. So they did some deception, but they didn't do any kufr. So what seems to be more correct is the view of Shafi'i is more correct and more detailed, only because he differentiates between different types of magicians. So an example, a magician who did real kufr, so he made sujood to the jinn, he slaughtered the graves, he cursed Allah and Messenger ﷺ, degraded the Quran. This one is kufr. Then they got the help of the magicians. Okay. Another category is someone who did some kind of incantation or spell or something. But they didn't use the shayateen, and nor was any kufr there. They just did it themselves. So here Shafi'i said this is a major sin, but not kufr. And this is more correct because there are types of magic which are not all kufr. Although it's all haram, right? We're not agreeing that's halal, we're just saying the difference between which one isn't and is. And the reason why it's important to know that is because if we do believe there is a type of magic which is haram but not kufr, when you find someone does magic or someone claim that, our question would be, what did he do? Right? What did he do? Because if we say that all magicians are kufr, we're assuming that all of them, they do what the real magicians do, and that's not the case. Right? So today, for example, someone can even use, technology, right, AI and other things to look like he did something, and he didn't do anything. He just edited. We're not going to say it's sahir, it's not in the real sense. What he's doing is wrong. He's trying to trick the people, but this person is just deceptive. So therefore, Imam Shafi'i's view then, the one that's kufr, huwa ma kana biwasitatil shayateen, the one that's by way of shayateen. This is the one. Because the sahir cannot do what he's doing by help of the shayateen except that he has done kufr. And this is more sound. If we agree to this, then we can make judgments on different cases and scenarios. We can't just make a blanket statement. Okay, so this is what Imam Shafi'i held, and this is a stronger view because it allows us to figure out which one is and isn't. So the one that's kufr, he says, is the one in by which is done by way of the shayateen, and the sahir can only draw near to shayateen by kufr. And we mentioned the ayah, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. The shayateen only become the allies of those who do not believe. Hence they have to be kuffar, otherwise they have nothing to gain from you. If we understand this then, we can see why the magic is very dangerous and very scary, and why it has to be blocked, and people will be taught to stay away from it of all of its type. For those reasons, the next issue, the fourth issue, what is the punishment for such a person? In the Muslim courts in Islamic countries, the ruling for such a person would go back to the nature of what they did, and the issue that the view that the ulama hold on it. So the ulama say if the person who did magic is a kafir, then the punishment is corporal punishment. Because this would mean death penalty, because he has done kufr, and he's also harmful to the society because of what he does. Remember, the magician doesn't just do kufr himself, he's harming others. He sends these shayateen to harm the innocent, to separate between husband and wife, to kill and sicken people. So that's the first opinion, that the person, after do justice in court, proven, will be killed. And they use the proof, the hadith of Jundub, and they say, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Haddu sahir, darbatun be safe. That the corporal punishment for the magician is the striking of the sword. But some of the ulama differ in the hadith, it's in Tirmidhi and others. So some say it's da'if, others they say that it can be taken as hasan, and then they bring some of the practice of Sahaba to establish that. Whereas the second view was, in the Muslim courts and system, a magician will not be killed, rather he'll be punished, right, if he did this kind of activity. Unless, of course, some of them they say, if he did anything which is kufr, then he will be punished. But if he did magic by itself, he'll deserve a different punishment. So some of the ulama didn't say, if you look at both views, the safer or the more general view is that he deserves corporal punishment after due process, because his harm and the things that he did are all there. He harmed himself by becoming a kafir, and he harmed others by his harm and what he does. And this shows you enough of a danger to look at how our society today, people are not taking this as very serious. Right? We just widespread. Right? People are just talking about it like it's normal. And the fifth mas'ala, issue that comes up, is connected to this, but it has to do with the people who go to the magicians and the fortune tellers. Going to them, which is definitely haram, but what is the nature of that? So if we know the magician, either he's a kafir or he did something which is haram, the one that we're talking about, the real magician, is just kufr, right? Going to them, what's the ruling? So the ulama, they looked at this and they divided to categories. And the reason why is because each of these categories, especially also the fortune teller, the one who pretends to know the future and doesn't, is because such an issue is dangerous for the people. People are naturally curious and typically go to these people out of curiosity, so they have to know the ruling. First category, in terms of going to the magicians and asking them and believing that they know all future. Al-Ghayb al-Mutlaq, they know everything about the future. So not just some parts of the future that shayateen took for them, no, everything. Then this is kufr mukhrij min al-millah. Someone goes to a fortune teller or a magician, believing that this person knows, and you asked them, you spoke to them, you believe in them, and you believe that they know everything. Ghayb al-Mutlaq, they know all things about the future. وَلَا يَعْلَمُ غَيْبِ اللَّهِ. Only Allah knows everything about the future. This is kufr. Because you believe in them, something only Allah has the quality of. خصائص الربوبية. The Lordship of Allah, only Allah knows everything. قُلْ لَا يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ الْغَيْبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. No one knows. Say no one knows from those in the heavens and earth the ghaib, يعني unrestrictedly, the unseen, except for Allah. So that's the first category. If you believe that they know everything about the unseen, and you ask them and you believe this is kufr. The second category, you go to them, you ask them, and you accept what they say, believing that they know the Ghayb al-Nisbi. Ghayb al-Nisbi means they know certain unseen things, either place or time. Right? About certain places and certain times or certain things. And this person who's going to him believes this. But he also believes that they can know this independently of anyone. Typically, how does a fortune teller even know about these things? The shayateen tell him. So he might know where something's lost, where it is. Or he might have stolen some information, figure out where someone's going to go. But imagine someone believes the magician knows by himself these kind of things. Then this also, the ulama say, this is unacceptable. This goes to the same one, this is shirk akbar. Because if you believe any human being actually by himself knows where lost items are anywhere in the world, what kind of human being is this, right? Who knows all this, right? This is kufr. But this ulama is shirk akbar because you're now associating that kind of knowledge other than Allah. Because if you told me I believe they know because shayateen told them, that's different. You believe they know by themselves. And no human being knows this by themselves, brothers. We already know that. Otherwise, the fortune teller, we're not sitting in a house asking you for $5, $10 if you knew this. Go find the oil reserves and lithium. When he's sitting there, miskeen, poor. And that's when the evidence to show they know nothing. Right? If they know anything, why is he asking you money? So we have to know, we have to use our aql, common sense. But if someone believes this, that he knows by himself these things, without the help of shayateen, this is also shirk akbar. Third category, someone goes to such people believing that they know the ghayb nisbi, relative unseen matters, meaning some of the matters unseen, but because the shayateen informed them, and this is reality where they get the information from, then this would be right, something haram, right, to go to them, and this is the one where we're going to see that this is minor shirk, and also because the scholars also say it deserves a punishment. So this is haram and minor shirk, and the ulama said this is something haram, someone cannot be going to them for this. For example, someone goes to them to ask them about the sick. Why is he asking them? To figure out the cause of the sickness. Or he goes to them as a means to get a lost item, hoping that this person will ask the shayateen to find it for them, or to tell them where it is. He took a wrong means, right? That's not how you find lost items. So shirk asghar, and therefore the scholars say there's two punishments for such a person is going to happen to them for doing that. And the first thing we have to know that this is not uncommon, unfortunately. Even in this society we are in, many people, they resort to these people. When they can't find answers, they go to the shamans or these other peoples, right, in these dark spaces, and they ask them questions. A'udhu billah. So we have to be very careful. We have to warn the people about this. So the scholars say the first punishment is shirk asghar. And again, the ulama, when they talk about the hadith, قال عليه الصلاة والسلام فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد. Whosoever does this, goes to them fortune tellers, asks them, and believes what they said, فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد. Some ulama, when they look at this hadith, they say قد كفر. We're saying it's minor shirk. But some ulama, when they say kafara, they say it's unrestricted. It's general, so it could be even that major shirk. But since we restricted it to what type? Minor shirk. That's the first sin. The second punishment, the salah is not accepted for how many days? 40 days. This is the one whose salah is not accepted. He has to pray, but he doesn't get any reward. Because he went to a fortune teller to seek them as a means to help them find something by way of the shayateen, to go look for it or to tell them about something they shouldn't know. And we know the shayateen, they really can't tell you about things of the future, brothers. They can only tell you past information. Something's lost, the shaitan can go and find it, for example. But if you go and ask them what will happen tomorrow, then we know they make up lies, right? One truth, 99 lies, right? The hadith in Bukhari. But that's the nature of them. So what they do to trick the people, they tell you about the past. What's your mother's name? Is this your mother's name? Where are they getting the information from? From your qareen. That shaitan talks to your qareen and says, your mom's name is this. You live over there. Like, subhanAllah, he knows so much. Ask him what's going to eat tomorrow. He won't tell you. So that's the problem. He's telling you stuff that you already should know. Right? Even the government knows what your mom's name is. What does that show you anything? Right? Some of us today were easily tricked. It doesn't prove nothing. This means maybe you're a spy. I don't know. But the point is, some people get tricked like this. He's going to tell you stuff that they can retrieve. Then he's going to tell you the lies about the future and you pay him. The rest of it is lies. So we have to tell the people even, see, when you went to them, it's haram. But some people, when they went to him, this is what they found. They found, well, he told me something. Yeah, but look what he did. He tricked you. So even as people, we have to explain to the awam, especially who don't know, especially people who are innocent, they don't realize how bad it is. So that's why, if you understand this, this will be a minor shirk and salah not accepted for 40 days. Very serious. The fourth category is someone going to them simply, right, to go to them. He's not asking anything. He's not going to ask them. He's not going to just, doesn't believe in them. He just wants to go and see what they're up to. This is haram, the ulama say, not permissible. Because these kinds of people, you're not supposed to go to them. Because Hadith Muawiyah bin Hakim al-Sulami, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said to him, Ya Rasulullah, inna minna rijalan, there are some men amongst us, ya'tun al-kuhan, they go to the fortune tellers. فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام فلا تأتيهم, don't go to them, Hadith Muslim. So he closed the door, don't go to them. And he also said that some of us believe in superstition. He says that's something they believe in their hearts, don't believe in it. Something just made up in their hearts, don't believe that. So Hadith Muslim. So if someone going out of curiosity, it's haram. And similar to this is when people go online and they do on these online things today, where you go and use like online horoscopes, or they ask you questions and then you put this information in and then they're going to tell you some prediction. You don't believe in it, you just want to know what's going to happen. If you don't believe in it, what do you want to know? Right? And that's why it's dangerous, right? Curiosity killed the cat. That's what the kuffar say. Sometimes you notice, especially the young people, they teach each other this. You know, I've seen it before. They go on the computer, they ask your name, this, that, and say, tomorrow they're going to tell you some absolute nonsense, right? But they just want to see what's going to happen. Just like reading the horoscope, same thing. Don't look at it, don't even turn towards it, and they have to stay away from it. And the fifth category, the ulama say, someone, he goes to them in order to test them and to expose them. This is legislated. This is something which is legislated, and this is for the ulama and the people who can command the good and join the good and forbid the evil. This is good. So one who's capable of going and exposing them and fixing it, or to get them out. Mudirir, Hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Ibn Sayyad. Ibn Sayyad was a young boy, he was a magician. Sahaba were worried if he's Dajjal. So Ibn Sayyad, they were not sure in the beginning his hal, although there's a lot of conversation about it. But the summary was of this benefit. Ibn Sayyad, he was thought to be Dajjal, and he did some kinds of magic. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to him to figure out what his fortune telling and things he's up to. So he heard him murmuring, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was hiding to see what he says. And then his mother it said that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there, so he stopped what he was saying. The benefit, the people, the government, they can go and they can do this, and they send those different types of task force and police forces to catch these people. You see, this is Islamic. Or some ulama may go there to expose them and then to arrest them. This is allowed. But again, for people who are capable, not those who are not. So with these categories being said, we can see the dangers of this topic. The ulama then went into the sixth issue, which is what the tawbah of this person, the sahir, would it be accepted or not, the magician's tawbah? Again, there's two opinions, a summary of it. If he makes tawbah, it's accepted. This is a more correct opinion. The ulama have two opinions. But that doesn't mean that if he went to court and he has a court case, that what will be his punishment is a little bit different. Right? That the person, the correct opinion, his tawbah will accept if he repents sincerely, as long as his repentance was sincere and he came with tawbah and suha, sincere tawbah. Because in Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a, Allah forgives all sins. But that's a little bit different than the idea that if he gets a court case is different. We're just saying his tawbah. If he made tawbah, it's the count. Some ulama say it doesn't count. But what's more correct, consistency, you can say that if his aqidah changed and he actually really repented, it is the case. But the danger obviously that such people, they may not repent, or it's not easy to repent. The seventh issue that comes up, the ulama talk about using magic to cure magic or to relieve magic. And this is a wrong practice. And the ulama talked about it. And the correct view is you're not allowed to do it. And yes, there are some ulama who their words can be interpreted to suggest that it's permissible. But what seems to be more correct is not allowed. And the terminology that's used, as sihr, as you said, is a general terminology. It can be, mean times, it could be used to refer to ruqya or other things. So the correct view is that not allowed. Although there are some of the Salaf who their words would suggest it's allowed, or what type of condition or what kind is allowed, but the correct opinion is not allowed. And the ulama, when they mention this, is because at the end of the day, if someone's using sihr, which is kufr, to cure kufr, that is not a cure. Allah did not put the cure in that which is made haram. But some of the ulama, when they look at their words, what they intended by it, some of the scholars, they said that they held it to be allowed. Some they said that what they meant by sihr, they meant qira'at. Right? So that's why if you look at the conversation, the nushra discussion, what seems to be more correct, if it's magic for magic, it's not allowed. Because kufr cannot cure kufr, or something haram cannot use to cure haram. But if someone say that what's meant by sihr or nushra is the Quran or qira'at and ruqya, then that's different. That's not the sihr we're talking about. So the summary is, it's not allowed. The cure for magic is then ruqya and qira'at al-Quran and to make dua and like this. Shaykh al-Islam mentioned two examples in his book, in this book, as-sarf wal-ataf. And the reason why is due to their popularity. As-sarf, what does it mean? Sarf al-rajul amma yahwa, is to take a man away from something that he loves. Sarf is to separate. So it intended a husband, losing the love for his spouse or hating his spouse by way of the magicians who did an incantation or some kind of potion or something which they give him, and then what happens is he hates his wife. So he separates from her. It's one of the interpretations. Or some ulama interpreted any two people who love each other, with a husband or wife or others, magic used to separate two beloved people. But ataf just means to join. So it means to join a man to something which he doesn't actually love. So an example, a wife or a woman may go to a magician to get a potion or get some kind of incantation to bring a man to her life. And this is also haram and unfortunately common in some places, more than others. So this is what the Shaykh is talking about in summary. He mentioned those two due to their popularity, but not just as the restriction, as a popularity. To finish, once we understand this, there are some masail that are left. And one of the most important of those masail, he didn't mention the Shaykh, but it's within our time, is somebody viewing magic. Is a person become a kafir? The Shaykh, rahimahullah, he said, فَمَنْ فَعَلَهُ, whomsoever does it, right? Or is pleased with it. So we have to focus on that here. فَمَنْ فَعَلَهُ, whoever does it, أَوْ رَضِيَ بِهِ, or is pleased with, kafara. So then the conditions are there. Someone does magic, the one we explained, by way of the shayateen, which would be by way of kufr, فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. And the one who is pleased with kufr, فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. And therefore it's a qa'idah, then a principle, that someone who witnesses kufr, or witnesses magic, real magic, or sees it, or is known, or is viewed in front of him, it doesn't become a kafir just by viewing it. Rather, he must be pleased with it. And the ulama mentioned this qa'idah, and it's very important, because you find today this discussion and people are on different ways. Some people think it's okay, some people think absolutely haram. In fact, it means kufr. It's haram to view something which is haram, as we'll see. But is it kufr? That's the question. So rida is the key. So an example would be if somebody said something which is kufr, and I quoted that person, am I a kafir? No. If I quoted someone who said kufr, I'm not a kafir. I'm just quoting. حكاية كفر ليس بكفر والناقل بالكفر ليس بكافر. العلماء says قاعدة ناقل بالكفر, the one who's reporting kufr ليس بكافر. Allah in the Quran tells the kuffar they said this, they said that. Just as a report, I'm just telling you what the person said. But some people think if you say you become kafir. No, if you believe it, you're okay with it, then yes. إلا بالرضا والإقرار. If you're okay with it, you're pleased with it, and you're accepting it, then you're kafir. Because then you actually are with it. An example, somebody saw some magic show, real magic, and these TV shows nowadays are real magicians, right? And when we were younger, what we see on TV, these magicians, we thought it was all games, because we didn't know these things. Many of them were real magicians. They're not a joke. And some of these magicians, what they were doing, nobody can learn. Somebody submerged in water, in a box for many days, no food, no water. And before you're thinking, how is he doing this? This is what we're talking about. This is kufr. This is the person who's a real sahir. He's using shayateen, otherwise he couldn't do it. Hand through the windows, stuff like this. When we understand this, if somebody watches, is he a kafir? The answer is No, unless he's pleased with it. If he hated it, or was ignorant, he didn't know what was going on, he turned it off. Or he was jahil, he didn't know this is not allowed to watch. Then this person never does that again. And some of the fatawa, the ulama are like this. They don't make kufr of the person, rather they say it's haram. Shaykh Salih Fawzan was asked, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, about watching a sihr tamthili, yani one of those sihr where it's like someone's doing a magic show or magic kind of demonstration and the likes, whether it be natural, right, forms or something someone learned. He said, what is the ruling on this? He said magic, whether it be the one which is takhiri, the one with the illusion of the eyes, or haqiqi, the real one, it's not permissible to view this. لأنه باطل, because it's falsehood. It is not permissible to watch falsehood, because watching falsehood is a type of confirming it. A person should rather detest it, turn it off, and if they do this, right, to turn it off, or they went there to get rid of it, then this is okay. But just watching it's haram, and this is batil. It's lahu al-batil. It's a type of haram, false pastime. So this is important. But if someone watches this stuff, believing it is allowed, or liking it, or enjoying it, this will be then kufr. Just like we mentioned last week, we sit in the gathering in kufr. Someone said kufr, and you're in the gathering, you're not a kafir by sitting there, unless you are pleased with it. And that leads to another qa'idah now. The ulama, they mentioned, some of the Shafi'iyya in their books, كُلَّمَا حَرَّمَ, everything which is haram, حَرَّمَ تَفَرُّجُ عَلَيْهِ. Everything which is haram to be using or to be seeking enjoyment and entertainment by way of it. It's a qa'idah, a principle for entertainment, games and amusement. Because there's a fiqh to games and amusement. This is one of them. كُلَّمَا حَرَّمَ, everything which is haram, حَرَّمَ تَفَرُّجُ عَلَيْهِ. It's haram to seek pleasure by way of it. If it's haram to kill innocent people, you can't play a game like that. Innocent people. I mean, some people, they play games, what are you learning from there? It's haram in real life. What is it? Is it haram to make sujood to idols? Haram there. And then it goes beyond that. If someone playing a game which you make a sujood to the idol, shirk, right? Did you make sujood to idol in real life? A game like that, unacceptable. No Muslim cannot play a game like this. It will be kufr. Some ulama say shirk. Because it's making sujood other than Allah. Again, most games are not like that. But imagine a game that has, or show that has haram. And you're watching the show with haram. It's haram to watch it. If you're pleased with that, which is it, then you became also, right, likewise, similar in sin. Because the ulama say, لأنه إعانة على المعصية. It's supporting the ma'siyah. So watching by itself is haram. But when you're pleased with what you're watching, be kufr or ma'siyah, and you get the sin in accordance to what you're watching and you're pleased with. So we must teach our youth this. Games are one thing. Haram is haram. I mean, there's no games that we can play except this. Sometimes you wonder, where are we going with this? We don't have anything to play. But parents also have to be careful. They check. They watch. Because it's not allowed. We teach our youth just to play games and say because they want to have fun. So if they're playing it by itself doesn't mean they're kafir. We already mentioned, pleased with it. But it's haram. That's the key. If something was haram, stop it. Close the door to that. And that also then will be applying to other genres like this. So a person should be mindful of that. Likewise, including this, reading fictional books that have it in haram. Right? Reading fictional books, the ulama discussed the details of it. We discussed it before, and also in the parenting book about the ruling on reading fictional works. But if a fictional book has magic or haram, you're not allowed to read it. Because reading it is haram, because you're seeking enjoyment of something haram. And we have to teach our youth that. There's many things you can read, don't read that. And later you might gain curiosity to do it. Because even as a side benefit, the kuffar, because they watch Harry Potter, since that movie and show book came out, they've actually made an institute called Hogwarts. And an increase in magician and magic. People actually, grown people, forget about the kids, grown people want to become magicians. Imagine the kids. Allah, this is till today you have it online, people recreating the show movie. A'udhu billah. So at home, the parents should teach the kids these principles and also do their due diligence to make sure they're not doing that. They didn't know you teach. But the difference between kufr and haram, and we already mentioned that, so we have to differentiate between, but I'm not saying it's halal. That's some of the ulama also say if a game has magic, it's not kufr by itself. Why? Because what is magic again? The one we mentioned, the one which has kufr in it. But it's haram to play that game. It's haram to play that game. Because I believe Shaykh Sa'ad Khatana has a fatwa that he answered a question like this about magic. I believe it's on YouTube, on also the audio, about magical games and the permissibility of it. And he mentioned that it is not sihr in the technical definition, but it's haram, this kind of game, for it involves something which represents magic, and that is a type of haram. Right? So, but in some games, if they go beyond that, doing shirk and kufr, that's even more severe, and he said that would be kufr, if it involves the kufr. So we have to just be clear on this, that person, whatever is if something happened like this, make tawbah and don't do it again. So inshallah we end with this much, otherwise the topic is very wide. But inshallah ta'ala we get the foundation of it. And the ulama have written books and they've discussed it in detail. So inshallah ta'ala these are the most important of the masail. Wallahu a'lam. And was any quick question inshallah ta'ala. Sheikh. What's that? Okay, something that has magic written on it, it's not haram by itself. Because the name is not the haqiqah. Al-ibratu bil-haqa'iq, laysa bil-asami, right? And the name's not the name you give it, but the haqiqah. So it says a magic box, it's not a magic, the sharia definition. But as let's say there is a toy in there or something which is halal, you just throw the box and take that. But obviously if someone doesn't want to bring that home because they don't want the kids to question them or to get in, then they leave it. But it's not haram, it's not the magic we're talking about. So we have to differentiate between the name magic and the reality of magic. So now that's what the ulama make it, because when we say something's magic, in the technical definition, it's kufr. Not just the word magic. That's not enough. Just like in some games or something, it's a magic box. It just means surprise box. That's what it means. So that's why they always look at the haqiqah of something, not just the name. Allahu a'lam. Yes. So someone goes to the magicians not believing they have any knowledge of the unseen or they have any ability themselves or by way of shayateen, just out of curiosity, this is haram. When it becomes minor shirk, this is when you believe that they have some unrestricted or knowledge of the some parts of the unseen by way of the shayateen, and they're taking it as a means to help you. But today when you find people going there, they're just going to doing fi'l haram. But with the aqeedah, then we can say if someone has done kufr or not. The same way if someone said this is absolutely halal to do this, then this is istihlal, but you have to have clarity how he did that. So most people when they're going there, they're falling into one of these 5 categories. So we won't know until we ask, why'd you go there? And you find out and you get the proper ruling. But at the very least though, we learned a person going there, right, and believing what they said, they're risking their salah. Going there is haram and is enough, they shouldn't be doing that, right? So yes, yes. So now we know these things, incantations, are not allowed to imitate the people of kufr. And so the many ulama say these magicians, even the language, we shouldn't mimic them, copy them, or the way that they would say it. Not to mention J.K. Rowling used real Sanskrit magic in her book. That's one of the examples. Whatever she put in there, she mentioned she took it from the ancient Indian magicians. BBC Channel 4, there's actually a video, but she discusses what got her the information. So people now are saying real things they don't even know. But in our culture, this Western culture, they think it's a joke. So this is real. So now that we know that, nobody should even go there. And if you forgot it, you forget it in your mind, right? Just never think about it again. But we have to teach people this, because imitating the people of magic, right? It's not good. It's haram, yes. So this is another example of a type of lying, they call it. When you tell the kids, come, I want to give you something and you have nothing in your hand. For Muslim Ahmed, Abu Dawud is a hadith on this. Right? Some of the ulama authenticated that the one who says to their child, I want to give you something, they don't give him, is a type of lying. So khifat al-yad would be when you try to do something to deceive the people, but it is a type of deception too, but it's more of a lying. Whereas khifat al-yad would be like, I'm going to show you a trick. You're going to see something and it's, I learned it and I deceived you. And yeah. Yes, and you put it behind their back or ear. These are the ones what they do. For example, pick the hand, or they have some of them what they do is a card trick in front of you, or some they have the cups. But some of them are real magicians. That's why you never get it right, because he's doing sihr takhayyul or takhayyul. You can't see it. So that's why some people are so foolish. They keep spending money. You can't win against this guy. But what happens if you actually look carefully? It starts with this one. So we have to teach people, if you're going to learn a skill, cannot be this, because some ulama mention, generally speaking, learning magic is kufr, and some they say that it's haram, it's better, and you shouldn't learn all magic is to stay from. But we're not going to say if someone did that, they did kufr, they did haram. And also it's not a good brotherhood in Islam, right? To deceive people. And today, unfortunately, this is how low the brotherhood has become. You trick your friends. What kind of brotherhood, what kind of Islam is this? Right? May Allah help us. Yes. So this is another one. Halloween, the brother said that people buy candy for the kids to give it to them. This will be haram because this is a type of participation, musharaka, participation of the celebration. Because what is Halloween? It's buying the candy or getting candy, trick-or-treating and going there. So any type of activity which imitates their participation or to do something on a particular time due to the sabab, a reason that is like this, will be part of it. But it doesn't mean now if I bought the candy the next day, it's just available on sale and I want to buy candy. Well, that's not part of how they'll buy it. It's like I'm trying to get them away from this, so I did something that's similar to it. It's like what Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah says about somebody celebrating a celebration the day before and the day after. Same cause, different day. Same ruling. So what we need to do is we do nothing. Because Halloween has no value, no meaning. Rather, what we should be doing, if anything, since it's munasib time, talk about why it's haram. That's the best da'wah. When something is time to talk about, you talk about it. But some parents are afraid that their kids will miss out. And then you don't need Halloween if you have Jum'ah every week. Miskeen, once a week you're going to go ask some stranger for candy. Kind of a culture we're in. Now we teach, and that's another thing the ulama say, this trick or treat teaches bad etiquette, begging the strangers. And today the kuffar, many of them have stopped doing it because their kids are getting sick and they're giving them the cannabis and other things and they trick and poisoning them. So in Islam we say we don't do this. We just tell our kids this is nothing, not for us. Right? Everyone has their Eid, it's not ours. Right? This is better. Yes. That's a different topic. This is haram, that stuff. But this one is different. We talked about things before, but that one, this ta'weez and this. But this is a topic I think we covered before, right? Wallahu alam. But it's haram. You can't have that in your. Yeah, this is the thing. Usually the ulama say if someone were to see what's inside these ta'weez and stuff, signs of magic are like that, right? Numbers, upside down, characters no one understands, or someone says something in a way that's ajib, no one knows. And we've said that from the condition of ruqya shar'iyya, it has to be understood, and it has to be something in the Quran or Sunnah, or there's good words. And this is what you find, when you find this, it's very dangerous. So we have to teach the people truth about that, because sometimes when they go to the raqi, he's actually sahir. Sometimes, because he instead of doing ruqya, he giving them this thing, and he opened it something. So, but the experts are the ones you have to return to. They're the ones who will help you to figure if it is magic or not, or what to do about it. Inshallah, last one, Sheikh, yes. So people who do these things, it depends on how they're doing it. Some of them, they swallow fire, for example, they walk on nails. Some of them, they use the shayateen to help them. So it's actually real magic. And some of them, they trained. So for example, what they'll do is they will go over the nails very quickly. So they won't hurt them, or they did it enough times they can do it. Like the Firqat Ahmadiyya in time of Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah, there was a Sufi group who used to jump in a fire and come out, and then they'll say they're awliya, and everyone has to pay them money, right, and give them respect. So Shaykh Islam has a risala on this, and he exposed them. He said, all of us, we're going to go to the Hakim. Everyone's going to come and watch. Like the time of Musa alayhi salam, and everybody came. And we're going to all go in the fire. But Shaykh Islam figured out they're using a special type of liquid or substance in which they will use, so they jump in the fire and they can't burn them. So he said, we're going to wash in vinegar, then we're all going to jump in. So when they heard that, they ran for their life. Right? But Shaykh Islam is willing to go in, because Allah will protect me and save me like he saved Ibrahim. So he said that the people's respect for him went to the ceiling. Imagine, because these people, they're not doing sihr, they're just doing, and there are many of them like this today. In fact, in Shaykh Islam, in his time period, there's a good bahath on this. A lot of superstitions were happening at his time. And one example was, at that time, people were snake handlers. A very common example of that, because the awliya became something, Wallahu alam, awliya became a freak show. People think anyone who could do something crazy is a wali. So at the time of Shaykh Islam, they asked him a mas'ala about a man who claimed to be wali, and to prove the karama, he took a snake and then he got bit by it and died. So the question was, can we say rahimahullah for this guy or not? That was the mas'ala. Because he said he's a wali, to prove it, he took a snake and died. And this was what was happening, especially in Egypt, in Misr. So if you read Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah and what was happening at that time, it's a good example of these kinds of things. Many of them were just using not magic, but trickery. So that's why even if we're clever, we can see also a lot of them like that. Allah give us tawfiq. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanaka bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.